Santosh, who's the CEO of Mercedes-Benz India.
I thought automotive is easy.
Today, I saw why Santosh is like why you are who you are.
Now the car is on 3 wheels.
Is it? By the way, for the viewers again, because Santosh wanted to do this podcast today, he put together a small folder of his entrepreneurial journey, which included his company, which we will talk about, but also a letter from his boss at Avery. So you should talk about both of those things because they're very beautiful. Santosh, welcome to the barbershop, and thank you so much for everything that you have done today. And I wanted to actually, before I come to you, I wanted to tell our viewers that this is how a lot of times people ask me about how networks are built and how do you get people on the podcast and how do you know person X and person Y. And it's very hard to explain. So maybe this would be a good time to explain. And Mercedes-Benz celebrated that 140-year their 140-year celebration of innovation in cars in Pune a month back. And Santosh, who's the CEO of Mercedes-Benz India, invited me to come and talk to their dealers. And it was a very prestigious, lovely event where, I spoke about it on LinkedIn and a few other places. And I met Santosh, and he was so nice to me from the moment we met in the preparation room for the panel discussion to, to kind of much later where we exchanged WhatsApp messages much after the event. And I walked away from the event feeling obviously very overwhelmed and inspired. Suchit, who is a director of finance in Bombay Shaving Company, said, I used to be in Alliance Insurance in 2013 and मेरा कोई problem solve नहीं कर रहा था. संतोष सर ने एक महीने में मेरा पूरा सब solve कर दिया. So many people wrote to me, and people can criticize easily, but when it comes to giving positive feedback to a total stranger, it's not easy. It's rare. I've had so many guests on the barbershop. I get good feedback about them. But with you particularly, the number of people who came in with just such stellar feedback and how, like, oh, he did this for me. Was amazing. Like the mentoring and friendly relations you have with them. And it really, like, frankly, it really blew me away. And I want the viewers to know that that was when I felt we had to get some back. We did not know each other at all before that event. I did not know Santosh. I was not a customer. We had not met in any event, anywhere, no investor, no common company where we've invested, nothing. Usually that's how you meet people. And I said, let's come on the barbershop. And today, I saw why Santosh is, like, why you are who you are. Because we said, okay, let's do a barbershop podcast. The first thing that a person says, okay, here's my assistant, put the time together. And, usually the teams get together, could put 2 hours, they come to my office, we shoot it. You said, no, come to Chakan, come to my factory, let me show you around. Even there was fine. But after that, we had lunch together. We saw your entire facility. Umesh and Rishikesh and Parinita and Rutuja and Shekhar and Brendan and everyone was just hosted us like we were some big guests, which we are not. We're here to shoot a podcast. And then, the smiles and the way even Sajid sir kind of took us on that off-ramp thing to give an experience with nothing to gain back out of it. Frankly, you are doing me the favor here. But I now realize that you and the institution you represent is actually just an exceptionally generous and positively, inclined towards people. And I'm just so happy that you came. And thank you so much, because for the viewers, that is what my bar on building networks and relationships is. And I think that you've done that, and people are everyone like is so happy that you run this place and this feels
Sandu, firstly, thanks for being so generous in
it's
your
very
words
true, by the nothing I said was false.
and compliments. I think thanks a lot for also mentioning and calling out the teams. I think they are the real reason why the star is shining so brightly in India and worldwide. I think there's a lot of passion that we have for the star, and I think that reflects in what we do every day. And thanks to you and the entire barbershop team for coming in and trying to look at a category which maybe not be in your textbook or the usual stuff that you do. But yeah, nice to have you here.
No, absolutely. And I wanted to actually come into, the team usually puts together a primer. Okay, we're meeting the Mercedes CEO. You can talk about luxury brands in India, what the consumer is doing, etc. I said, I'll do all of that. But I actually wanted to talk about your leadership style and the fact that you've gone through, even Shekhar was saying that Santosh boss has seen customer service, he has seen marketing, he's seen sales, he's seen engineering, he's seen this and that. Now, like he knows it like the back of his hand, and that's why he's the best person to lead. But and then before that, you did, and you should tell the viewers about this, about your own twist with entrepreneurship. But tell us a little bit about how your leadership style has evolved into such a kind of positive, productive, high trust and high impact leadership style, which everyone talks about, and very rarely I'm able to see it. So I would love for you to articulate that if you could.
No, so firstly, I think people are too kind when they speak about me. Thanks for all this feedback to Shantanu as well. But for me, my career journey of now close to 25 odd years, I started assisting my dad in his business small time when I was in college in Mumbai. I'm a hardcore Mumbaikar. From there, schooling, colleging, everything done there. Friends are there, and I think the formidable foundational layer for everyone, most of us, is our parents for sure. But surely he played a big role. He was I would say, he was a physically challenged as such, with some motor neuron disorders, etc. So I used to help him, and I learnt a lot as well from him. But I think what shaped was also the different risks and challenges I took in my career, starting from selling weighing machines to going to Nepal, to not only sell bikes but also to set up a new business unit and actually make a three-wheeler out of nowhere, a gas-based three-wheeler way back in 2000. We failed, but a lot of learnings in that failure. Coming back, selling bikes here with Yamaha, being in Toyota, and then Ford, and now last 17 odd years here. I think I have to be thankful to many mentors, my bosses, my early bosses, my first bosses. I think they all had a huge role in shaping who I am, understanding values, leadership. And one thing which I always believed and I still believe is I start from trust before mistrust. So, very seldom, generally, we make a lot of things based on mistrust. Our processes, the style of functioning, everything is based on what if the customer will take undue advantage of this, what if my colleague will take undue advantage, or can they deliver. But I think if you start the other way around, just give the trust. I would tend to, in my experience, is that hardly 1% you may fail. 99% of people, including your partners, suppliers, customers, will never break the trust. I think that's something we don't give huge importance to. We start from suspicion, and then we say trust is built over a period of time. But generally, my experience has been, you start, it generally works much better. So that's one of my core principles. And then, of course, when you have to go far, take people along. So restless guy by nature. So I tend to go fast a bit. Then I feel, no, I have to stop a bit, or again go back and get some people who are not with me and take them on the journey. So I think that's a conscious effort from a leadership style.
That's amazing. I would love to kind of come to your own entrepreneurship journey. You shared a very personal story before that we met about how Pragati came into being. But do talk about the triggers, the move to Kathmandu, and working with your brother-in-law and a new business partner. But that was quite fascinating, and I would love. By the way, for the viewers again, because Santosh was to do this podcast today, he put together a small folder of his entrepreneurial journeys and his mentorship lessons, which included his company, which we will talk about, but also a letter from his boss at Avery before. So you should talk about both of those things because they're very beautiful.
So, as I said, I when I did my graduation, my priority in life that was to help my dad. So we had a small cutting tool business. He had retired. He was also practicing homeopath. So I used to just help him and not make him feel that he's handicapped, right? So I used to be his Sarthi. That's how I learned driving as well. And I used to go around with him. And then
In Mumbai.
in Mumbai. Then one fine day, there was an ad in Times of India, walk-in interview for a sales guy, sales executives. I never knew what it is. I asked my dad. He said, "Yeah, you try. What you want? It's your life." So it was in Ballard Estate. I went in there, cleared the first round. As I said, the first boss is very critical, and he was there in the second round of interview, because walk-in interviews you have a lot of people. And then in the second round he did, and then he said, "Santosh, you look okay, but in the final round you better wear a tie and commit," because I had just gone with jeans and shirts, and I thought that's it, coming out of college. Uh, I went, and I still remember I going to, in the fort area, you have payment sellers selling ties, etc. I went there, picked up, called my brother who used to work for Greaves. He helped me because I had forgotten to tell the knot, because it's been long. In school you used to do it,
Yeah.
and after college even how to wear the right knot. I went in, got the job, and then
At
I was
Avery.
doing quite well in Avery. And then on the personal side, the moment I lost my dad, we were a bit disappointed with Mumbai. It's a long story for various reasons, medical, and for my dad's operation didn't go well. And then we said we have to leave. And for my mom's sake, I thought a change of place is the best medicine. A very close friend of mine in Kathmandu, he used to come to Bombay. He was a friend of my brother-in-law, and he said that why don't you come and explore business opportunities? I
In
can call you
Kathmandu.
guys in Kathmandu. We are middle class, salaried kind of thinking. But then we said, yeah, that's not bad. So we went on a flight for 10 days. We found a big space in capital equipment business. Is not there. Nepal at that time, a lot of hydroelectric projects, etc.
What year was
So
this?
this
99.
was 99. Yes,
Ah.
99. And we said, why not we set up, we take distributorship of a lot of companies. We mapped which companies are in Nepal, which companies are not there. And we said, we will go straight cold calling. So we started call Ingersoll Rand to Greaves to, I would say JCB, to many companies. And we started saying, hey, we want to start a engineering division, independent, and we will train service engineers, we will sell capital equipments, distributorship business, and I will use the network of this Morang Auto, which I was there. Went in 1 year, a lot of machines sold, lot of cranes sold, lot of and good business in terms of parts, and we were profitable as well, and quickly. And then when its success goes to your head, and then my brother-in-law came back, but then Kathmandu had this entire pollution issue. It's a valley, and there was a big thing about two-stroke bikes and two-stroke being banned, and we said, why don't we get a clean gas-powered three-wheeler? So the Thailand tuk-tuks which run
Yeah.
in Thailand, very similar, but we said let's manufacture in Nepal and then try to sell. And I thought automotive is easy. I had this engineering background from my dad and practical experience. So I got hold of someone along with them. We tried to make a three-wheeler chassis from India, put an engine from a Subaru Japan, put a kit from Levato Italy. And it was working. It was working well. And we said not much of tests. We put it on the road, and wow, it was a lot of consumer feedback. Because these were daily bread earners, who run these tuk-tuks and these machines. It was called Pragati. So selling was not a problem. We had all sold out in 3 days, but after manufacturing, a lot of consumer feedback. But then we said that, hey, the people who have put money on us are all these daily bread wage earners. And we felt that, I think God has been kind. We made good money from the engineering business. We should just give them back all the money, and maybe we scrap this project. And it was I won't say impulsive, but a decision with many sleepless nights. It's our baby, to start something and then kill it as well. But if you would not have done it, because we knew we couldn't scale it, or because automotive is a far more complex industry, and that's my first learning there, which happened. And then I said, no, for this scale, we can't scale it up manufacturing in this country in that sense. And then we just refunded the money to everyone, and then we closed down. We scrapped everything, and that was one of the biggest failures. But you know on one side it was mixed emotions. We made something highly successful. On the other side, failure. And that's a time when the king was also murdered in Nepal. There was a big political unrest, and then I thought of coming back to India, saying that let me do something back here. Maybe let me explore back the professional side of the world. And without a job in hand, without anything, I handed over the entire business back to Vishnu, who is a very dear friend even today, a great guy actually, and he has grown in scale and stature good. And then no hard feelings. I came back, started to search for a job in again searching classifieds, not having much.
But you came back to Mumbai.
I came to Mumbai, but in the period in Nepal, I was also responsible because they had a big business on Yamaha bikes. They were doing 30,000 odd bikes, and Yamaha was the market leader there. And because of this two-stroke ban, Yamaha had fallen, and I had taken back Yamaha sales back to almost number one. And so you cross the border, it was Hero Honda which was selling more. On the other side, it was Yamaha selling.
Oh, is it?
So that was a case study by itself in Yamaha. So after 2 months in Bombay, while searching, I first got a call from Yamaha saying, "Hey, you want to join us back?" Because nobody could sense why did I leave, because they were thinking, is there a conflict? But then they came to know that it was just that feeling that no, I want to get back into corporate life. I want to learn more
Go
because
back to Bombay.
and so I came back to Mumbai, and my friends were there, and then I got this offer from Yamaha, also from a couple of other brands, companies whom I represented in Nepal. They all called back saying we have a job you here there. You can come back. We are more than happy. But I decided because automotive is a passion, I decided to be with two wheelers, and that's how I joined Yamaha back in Delhi, Faridabad. And so that time it was called Yamaha Escorts as a company, and I joined. Then I was based in Pune for sales. Then I went to Delhi for marketing, and then from there I had got an offer in Toyota at the time of the Innova launch. So I went to Bangalore for 4.5 years there. Launched that Innova, launched the Corolla Altis, made a
Which
couple
year
of
was this, Santosh?
2005 by that time, 2004.
What a car, no? The Innova also.
When we launched, it had a predecessor, Qualis, and
Qualis, yeah.
then we were told that nobody would buy this car because why are you stopping the Qualis? Qualis is the market segment leader, and you have done a big disservice. The fleet guys were unhappy. That's the time where we did a big campaign along with Amir Khan. Every day many rolls, one car. The entire concept of an MPV, which can be used to drop your kid to school or go to office, and also in the evening go for a party. I think that's how we package, and I think Amir Khan that time was the most versatile actor. So we made a commercial. I still remember it won a lot of awards. Many Amir Khans in one car. It had many movies of Amir Khan, and they used to sit in the.
Yeah.
It's still available on YouTube to view, and that won a lot of awards. Actually, from being a non-selling car to today one of India's most favorite MPV. I think that journey we had stocks, and that completely turned it around. So again, 4.5 years there, being restless for whatever it was. Then I went to Ford briefly in Chennai, worked with Americans. So that's why I keep saying I work with the Japs, I work with Americans, and then
And now
I came
German.
back to the Germans 2009 then. So 8 and 9 I was with Ford, and 2009 then I joined this April. In fact, next 15 days I'll complete 17 years here. I joined in marketing and then did multiple roles, and that's what sales, customer services, parts, external affairs, many topics, many responsibilities. And I think the organization has been kind. I should particularly mention that 2014-15, I was sent. The turning point for my leadership was also a 2-year program in Lake Constance for corporate governance and compliance. When I went there, and this was a very unique program.
Two
Once a
years, is
month,
it?
yeah, once a month, 1 week in one university in Europe. So I did ESMT Berlin to even in UK, St. Gallen to Lake Constance was the home university. So I visited a lot of universities, a lot of other countries in Europe, and all my colleagues were so-called top talents in the company as well. So then I realized the intercultural differences. How do they view India as, or business as, and what are the peculiarities? I think that was a huge. So the company invested 14 odd weeks or 14 trips for 14 weeks in 2 years, where I used to go to Germany and back, managing work for sure remotely.
One of the benefits of working at a truly global organization is that while the culture, a lot of the culture is common, the differences become a lot more apparent as well. And these kind of places where you're meeting people, the same people, many times over an extended period of time, you become aware of those. What was your big self reflection and realization about India at that time?
First one was I always used to say India is very different to all, because I worked in all multinationals. I've traveled, and I said India is different. But for me, what I realized is the business challenges are very similar. Fundamental of running a business, or having the right leadership capability to run business doesn't change. So I am also not the biggest fan when people say that you need an Indian to run an Indian company in India as such. I think you need a great leader, because I think we have also been successful in India for so many years. We had German expats, but they believed and trusted the team here, and they worked with the teams who were available at that point of time. So I think the leadership lesson was, if you have a great team who understands any market, one can be portable. It doesn't need that a leader at the top needs the nuances and and all the specific market knowledge to run businesses. I think that
Correct.
was something quite universal. But on the other side, also the way you look at certain topics, the intercultural differences that is there. When you say yes, or let me even say an 8-hour work that we put here in the Indian environment to an 8-hour being put in a European environment. I think the quality of that 8 hours, the dedication of that 8 hours, the output in that 8 hours is also different, because it's the way the education system has been. The way, I think, when I look at people coming out of colleges in India, whereas if I look at an intern way back in Germany, for example, I think they have this dual qualification, right? So basically, they have been working, their exposure is very different. So I think the workforce is very different in these markets. The maturity level of the workforce, therefore, in the starting stages are very, very different
Very different.
compared to what you see in our market to other market. Expectations are different also, hierarchically, much more hierarchical, designation dependent is what I would say when you have to manage in India, compared to not so fancy designations and stuff,
Correct.
and the quality of job. So these are the small nuances when you talk about people management, when you talk about leadership and stuff. But as I said, the fundamental layer of business management, that you have to run a business, doesn't change, and the problem definition and challenges doesn't change drastically market to market.
Amazing. Uh, Talk a little bit, Santosh, about I'm curious to know how the consumer has evolved in India. Today we saw how the car has evolved from the very
Yeah.
first Mercedes that rolled out uh, from the factories to now these amazing cars
More
that you have.
electronics, more AI, more stuff.
More
Yeah.
more AI, more EV, electric,
EV,
you have the
next.
G wagons, etc. But how has the consumer moved? I would love to know, your views on, because a lot of people who are watching, and including me, we are actually very deeply interested by consumption and demand and what's the emotion of a consumer. So talk us in detail about the consumer journey of of the Mercedes
So,
Benz.
in India, what we define is, there is one is a luxury dweller, right? They have been consuming luxury in the past. They have a lot of wealth, generational wealth as well, and also new wealth being created because of invest, family offices, and others. They have exposed to luxury. They have traveled abroad. They know, and they have multiple cars in the household, and they know differentiation between brands. They are much more aware and conscious, and they demand a high level of individualization, personalization in what they want. So they're
Correct.
very clear.
Correct.
Even when they buy an E-Class, they're very
Uh,
clear that, yes, this is the kind of car, maybe I
Correct.
may try myself.
Uh,
These are, that's a traditional India hardcore luxury consumer. Then there is a very different India which is coming up, which is basically first time buyers, straight coming into luxury. They may not even have any other car in the household. So
oh, really?
today, that graduation,
Uh,
of consumers now having a car and then slowly going and going up the ladder to a Mercedes Benz, we can see still 10 to 20% of, at least in our entry, like the new CLA and others, straight, they have no car and the first car is straight coming. So that's a
so
very
what's the
fundamental
age?
shift.
Is
And
the
they are very below 30. Below 30.
I see. So give me a breakdown. So how many cars do you sell, and what's the average age, and then how many of them are below 30, for
Yeah.
example?
So we did 19,000 odd cars last year.
19,000
Yes.
cars.
And let me say the average selling price is 1 crore of rupees for us. So that's a lot of money in that sense. Also, 25% of the cars we sell are all top end. Only 10 to 12% is entry level segment, and
Correct.
the balance is all the core segment
So
cars.
Mercedes-Benz is a clear leader in the top end.
There is, yeah. Overall, also we are leading the market, but more importantly, by revenue terms, we are far, far ahead. And in volume terms, also we are ahead, but that these numbers keep changing here and there. But as I said, clear domination in core and the top end segment, and in entry for sure. There are different reasons we don't have products below 50 lakhs and so on and so forth. But coming to this behavior of consumer, one is the average age, as you said, is 37. It used to be 41 years old.
Oh, wow.
Women buyers earlier used to be 7 to 8%. Today they are 15%, so almost doubled. Salaried buyers used to be again 6-7%. Now it's around 15%, doubled. So that means corporate India is paying.
Getting
People
richer.
are
Yeah.
also getting. But one thing which is still there, both in corporate and in luxury dwellers, so called, is the hierarchy. Issue is, a lot of people in corporate India don't buy a Mercedes Benz because their boss is still not driving a Mercedes Benz. And they feel that if I still buy this car, what will
Really?
the signal I give to my management? And if the boss is already driving, say, an E-Class,
Yeah.
and even if I can also afford an E-Class, let
Yeah.
me not buy the E-Class, let me go with a C or a GLA or a GLC or something.
Really?
So the hierarchical mindset, this is not only on the side, even in home. So it's, if the S-Class, the young guy also wants to own an S-Class, but the dad is a bit conservative. He has been using an E-Class for many years. So the young guy's first ambition is to put his dad to an S or a GLS. But then he can drive an S class as well. So because there is a lot of respect also for age, for the maturity, also joint families, for example, you have two brothers and one not there. So this I think is very, very peculiar. If you see the hierarchical nature of cars in India, even the political ecosystem, right from mass market, there are people, Sarpanch will drive this to a person driving Fortuner or something will be X to Y. Similarly, in our car line, and that's for a lot of people sometimes don't take the leap of faith when they have to buy a Mercedes-Benz as well, saying, "Nee, nee, nee, yaar, maybe it is." So I think it's just not the wealth which is the challenge, but it's also the structure. It's a very conservative mindset. There is every kid is dreaming to drive luxury cars, Mercedes-Benz cars, and enjoy. But the realization of the dream, they tend to postpone it because they feel, let me, as it grows. So the 30-year-old guy is more impulsive. I made it. Maybe some of them are also getting some funding.
Yeah.
They are a bit conscious. What will my guy think when I got this? Oh, bolega paisa aise hi. But some of them want to do it also.
Yeah.
It's a way of rewarding yourself. They say,
Yes.
this is my tool. I need something. I'm working 18 hours a day, or as startup guy, I just need something to reward myself. And they end up buying also an S class and a Maybach. And not that they buy an entry level CLA or something. So they buy the best of cars as well. And I think that's also changing India, but a very small portion of changing India. The larger part of India still feels a bit conservative, a bit trying to justify why not. So if you ask a lot of people, they say, where are the roads in India to drive? So this kind of an argumentation comes up, but that's not the rational side. That's not the
Yeah.
rational reason. The leap of faith to get into luxury, to start consuming it, and to make it
Yeah.
part of life, that's some way to go in India. Hotels are different. Huh? If you see, people are spending a lot in five-star hotels. Today, there is nothing called a five-star. And today, all the brands in India, luxury properties or whatever, people are spending like crazy.
Yeah.
Per room night is 50,000 in Coorg. You can't imagine when I was in Bangalore to spend 50,000, but it's all sold out. You check any weekend, most of the properties are gone. So
Correct.
I think that there, it's a short term. These are
Correct.
long-term commitments, then there is a bit of tendency. And that's the reason the total luxury car market in India is only 53,000 cars. The penetration of luxury to total market. So the total market is 4.7 million cars
Wow.
in India every year,
So
out of which
47 lakh cars and only 53,000 are
are
luxury.
buying luxury cars.
So 1%.
That's it. And it changes. Like if I do pin code analysis in South Bombay, I go, it's almost 2.8% is Bombay. South Bombay is 5%. Suburbs are already at 1.1. And if I go to some of the smaller markets, it's 0.3, 0.4, zero point 0.5 in India. So there is no one India again in terms of the total penetration. It is also wealth. The per capita GDP is still close to $3,000. So and this has doubled in the last 10 years. So so if you see, we did more than 2,30,000 cars now in last 32 years. The bulk of 1 lakh cars have come in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
So that's a phenomenal growth pattern and trajectory that we see from the consumption. So hopefully this continues, and there is a much more leap of faith for consumers to shift to these cars. Also, the issue is that the rationality, much more rational mind. Why can't I continue with the so-called some of the premium makes
Yeah.
or mass market makes? It still does the job. So that's the kind of the postponement in purchase decision. Otherwise, I think this market should explode ideally.
You said a very interesting thing when we had met last time, and I would love for you to like double click on it. You said that I was asking what competition is. You said you might think our competition is, all the other luxury car makers, but our biggest competition is SIPs. So talk about that actually.
I think you have picked up a nerve there because I was in the news for the wrong reasons, and the entire mutual fund industry was questioning that argument. But in my view, SIPs is a symbol of savings in India, right?
Correct.
Because I think the way the SIP has grown, even after making the statement, I was talking to some fund managers. They in fact thanked me after 3 years, saying, "Hey, your sales have grown, even we have grown." I said, "Yeah, that's true." So when I made that comment on SIP, there was a big uproar by the mutual fund industry themselves. But if you look back
You made a comment where you made it in public.
3 years back, in an interview, it came in the Times of India, and then there were 2 days social media to live debates on television on it's right. Even today, there are videos on is Santosh Iyer right, and there is a template saying he's wrong because they were polarized. Everybody has a right to have a view. But for me, the SIPs was a symbol of savings, and I was more being advocating to the saving mindset. I think there is enough wealth in India consumers tend to save, which is not wrong because and social security
Yeah.
after 60 and others. But also one thing is very peculiar from a cultural perspective. We save not just for ourselves but for our kids as well.
Correct.
And the next generation because of the uncertain future. And that's a cultural topic. As brands, we cannot address that. Neither we want to change any of them. But one of the reason that explains this big gap is not that the wealth is lesser. It's also the psychographic topic that why do I need it a bit more rational in thinking that I should be okay with any car as long as it is doing the job. But that's what is changing. I think the demographic shift when the younger population comes in, their mindset is also to reward themselves, to enjoy the finer things. They have experienced this also in other parts of the world when they were studying abroad, when they were doing. So that is what should drive consumption moving forward. Plus the per capita GDP going from the current levels of 3,000 to the 6,000, say if it doubles in next 10 years, the sales should double or even go even further beyond.
How do you compare the luxury car market, let's say, compared to China or the US?
To be honest, no comparison. China, we do as Mercedes-Benz close to 300,000 cars. China, last year we
And
did
so
close to
300,000
500,000
and in
cars.
India 19,000 cars.
That's a stark difference, I would say. So, but as I said, it's a factor of per capita GDP. It's a factor of consumption patterns. It's a factor of the socioeconomic demographics that you tend to see. Also, the taxation not from import duty because we have localized the entire portfolio almost, but the local taxes. India has 40% odd GST, 20% road tax. So there is a 60% tax on a car, which is not similar to many other markets where the car prices would be a bit more cheaper. The same car in Germany would be, say, a 40,000 euro car. In India, it would be similar car would be around 60,000 euros because of the
Baap re.
what the Indian OEMs have smartly done is they have tried to localize many things and they have tried to remove some content and try to give a car as a minimum viable proposition at the 30,000, 20,000 euro kind of or bracket or 20 lakh, 30 lakh bracket. But we as Mercedes-Benz, we can't do that because I think a consumer buys the safety and the trust and the equipment. So we can't decontent. That's never been our core philosophy. So we have always remained at a certain threshold price, which now, as of today, is around 55 odd lakhs, 60 lakhs for a starting price. That makes it a bit challenging for many customers to then shift and to make into the segment.
Yeah. So like, let's come back to the consumer, right? So you're saying there are young consumers who are now buying 41 to 37 is the average age. People are kind of buying up, but the one peculiar thing you're seeing is the hierarchy of usage between boss and employee or father and son and so on. But talk a little bit about the buying. So for how many people is Mercedes the first car? I'm assuming that's a small number, but would love to see some trends. Second is what's the purchasing psychology within like a family or like a couple or like an individual who's buying it? Like, how is that evolving? Are you seeing things change?
No, so the core belief is car is generally a family is involved in the purchase, and women are also playing a big role in the decision making when it comes to purchasing. And I'm still at the entry and the core segment, not in the top end segment. So there, in the entry and core segment, there is a big involvement of family for sure. But
So
the
it's a
purchase
family car.
cycle, family car, maybe the one of the mostly the husband is using or the spouse, but whoever is primary using will have a say, but the kids also have a say, the wife spouses also have a say in what they want in the car. And generally, many of them customers don't never come to our showroom to buy car, but for delivery we see the full family, sometimes even joint family in the showroom taking
Really?
delivery of the car. They want the ceremonial delivery, they want the pandit, they want everything to happen, and everybody is there. It's a moment of celebration, pride. Even today, there are a lot of stories what Mercedes-Benz does to customers. Once I had a call from someone who wanted to take his dad from the hospital home because he was terminally diagnosed, and he said, "Can you help me with the delivery of the car as early as possible?" Somebody wanted it for the wedding that they wanted it, and we tried to organize it differently. So I think the star resonates a lot of emotions, and therefore it's a highly involved purchase. When you say the purchasing time, it's around 45 odd days from the time you start first deciding to the time you close on an
Oh, is it?
average basis. We have bought it down. What we have also done, interestingly, and India was one of the first market to do that in the world. Now it's also being done. It's also a case study in our management books. We have changed the entire business model of retailing. So traditionally, if you have ever bought cars, you must have surely done purchases. You go to a dealer, the dealer will push you whatever stock he has, and he tries to sell you any car, car or a product. And that's because the traditional industry OEMs push car to a dealer, dealer pushes to the customer, and the word is push.
Yeah.
In this entire thing, the dealer tends to give all his margin also sometimes because of intra-dealer competition, because a customer is shopping in multiple, he's decided I'll buy an X car, but he goes to three partners, tries to get the best deal, and then the dealer thinks, let me now swindle him in service. So because, and that's the reason when the many of the brands, when you go to service, the bills are inflated, because there the dealer is trying to make money out of service. The customer is very happy, I got a great deal and discount, but at the time of service, they are being swindled. We, during
Wow.
COVID, actually, me and my ex-colleague Martin, we said that if you want to do luxury business in India, we have to take this out, because, I had one of the dealer calling me saying, Santosh, my own father-in-law is upset with me. I said, why? He came to me, I gave him my margin, I gave him the best price, but my co-dealer, he actually has even gone below the pricing, and he has offered. But I said that your father-in-law should have trusted you. That's a different issue, and bought it. But then we changed the model. What we do today is the entire inventory of Mercedes-Benz India, we made dealers as agent. The entire quotation invoicing happens out of one central system across India. We have discounts, but it's standardized. There are no handling fees. Like, in all the other invoices, even a two-wheeler, you will see handling charges, which is nothing but not the right way
Way
to
to pad the
charge a
price.
customer. But we have taken all that out, made it fully transparent, and a car as a stock. So today, most of the dealers will sell what they have in stock. Red car, they will say, red is the best color for you. Today, even if you like the green and the green is not available, at our cost, we will take the car from anywhere in our pool and give it to you. It's all online. It's available in the iPad of the sales consultant. And this, in the last 4 years, has fundamentally transformed. We call it
This is
retail of the
D2C.
future. Is D2C. We are the only brand in India doing D2C.
Your
And now,
D2C brands, all 19,000 cars are D2C?
all 19,000. There's no other model that we run in India. And therefore, after
That's
this,
crazy.
Australia went live with this. I am happy to say Germany went live last year with the same model. India was one of the pilot markets that we started this. And today, Korea is going live now, I think this month. And Australia, many markets, Thailand, Malaysia, you name it, we are now adopting. Because this is, I think, when you talk
Wow.
about luxury, what the customer needs is peace of mind and the best price. So the best price is given by the system, also based on, suppose there's a large corporate employee and we give corporate discount. It's all applied. So it's a very transparent mechanism, no haggling.
I see that in the culture here at the organization, like even the safety in the factory or the way, you talk about the product. You spoke a little bit about how you have to make sure that people who are repairing, the technicians, the engineers, um, that how they have to not be desensitized to the fact that the car is for them maybe a machine, but for someone else is almost like a family member.
So,
That's very interesting.
in my strict as customer services director here, and I was heading customer services, I did my town halls and I used to meet these technicians and we have three levels: a maintenance technician, certified systems technician, and a diagnostic engineer. I used to say diagnostic engineer is an MD, the systems technician is an MBBS, and maybe the maintenance technician is now slowly trying to get into a doctorate degree, because they are diagnosing the car. And today the car is a mechatronics, and now some cars are pure electric, but still it has mechanical components. So you just don't need a mechanical engineer, you need an electronics mind, plus amount of software codes are equivalent to the rocket which went to space today,
Correct.
including the telematics and many topics. So you need very skilled people to first diagnosis, okay, then all the else follows. Here we have a challenge, because what happens is, we service in a month 20,000 odd cars which comes to our workshop for servicing and repairs. But I told them, hey guys, in hospitals when we go, many a times we see doctors are busy, they are trying to do their best job, but at the same time they see patients every day, and everybody has some problem, their relatives are equally concerned, but the doctor has to treat a lot of patients, and this at times lose the sensitivity of a death or even of a critical issue, because they are treating it very professionally.
For them, it's a number.
It's a number, and
Yeah.
it's a very transaction for them, as such, most of the times, and for most of them. But in the same case, in cars, if you see, again, I come back to the cultural Indian context. People buy cars, they put some idols of God there. India is the only country where we do puja of cars. Actually, once a year, you put the mala during Navratri, Dashara,
Break
you
a
worship
coconut.
it. Also, many a times people when they start the car, they pray to God and then they start their
Yeah.
day. So it's a very personal. It's your baby. It's an extended member of the family. That
Correct.
goes back to your question: how do families are interacted? Because they are actually selecting a member of their family when they are making this family member. Now you are dropping into a workshop for 1 or 2 days, and you want it to be taken care. So if you don't have that kind of a feeling and you are just taking it as a machine, maybe your diagnosis quality, maybe the way, simple things, you must have done the best job, but you have not given the car washed properly back to the customer.
Correct.
The customer will feel you have not done the job. He is not bothered oil and tire, and he is bothered, I want my clean baby back. And
Correct.
this is the baby where my heart and emotions are lying. But actually, we are also in people business. I have 2,000 people working in India in retail. And these people, to get that kind of emotions to the brand, they love the brand. There's no doubt about it. But on a daily basis, to remind them that you are handling a baby as good as what doctors do in hospitals, and please take care of them. So we have some distance to go there for sure. But I think the culture is what important. So we are trying to build that culture of sensitizing. KPIs are one. You have all the ratios, that, this, turnaround time. But I think it's beyond that, and to give that sense of pride to the customer and take care of the car like his baby and deliver it back as a new car as far as possible.
Amazing. You're speaking, Santosh, about the D2C model, and it's never been done before. Uh, and you convert dealers from being inventory stockists and financiers of
Correct.
the product to agents of sale and service,
Correct.
right? Uh, so that standardizes the price, but also gives people lesser flexibility to sell. But did you so there would obviously be, I think, some teething issues where sales would have had some friction, etc. How did you take that as a CEO?
So,
Or
there's
did
a
that not
lot
happen
of
at all?
issues. Let me tell you, there was a lot of issues. There was a point of time when we did the transition. I still remember October 21, 4 years back, when we did the transition. It came to a time where I had to take over the command center. We used to run this entire, because it's a change management process, right? Sales consultants to everyone. So the success lied first in involving them at an early stage. So in this entire change management process, we sold them why it is important, why we need to do this transition, and we had to get their buy-in. Secondly, in designing IT systems, we had again, but things don't go as per plan, be it IT systems, be it processes, be it what, because we were experimenting
For the
from a
first
clean
time.
slate, there was no precedence. So it went southwards completely.
Oh, is
I
it?
had the first month where we, in the peak month, I think October was
And you
Diwali
went
in
from
21.
Model A to Model B overnight, or did you did time?
Overnight, one stop in October, we said the switch off, switch on.
Are you serious?
Yes, because there is nothing called half pregnancy in my view. And then you keep struggling, and then customer is also more confused. Some cars are available at discount, but some cars are not available at
That's true.
this car I can get you, but not that car.
So you put
this car.
everything on
So
hold.
everything we bought back. If at all any stock was there, we bought back. But otherwise, we ended up in a situation where dealers came into zero stock, and then we did a transition with a full stock
And
of inventory.
how long had you been CEO by this point?
No, I was head of sales and marketing that time.
Oh, you were
I was
not the
not the
CEO by that.
CEO. Yeah, the
Oh.
CEO was Martin Schwing that time,
So
and
must have been
we
very
both were
courageous
closely working
for
on
him,
this.
right?
So that's what when this leap of faith, there were only two people in that room who said we should do this.
You and
At
Martin.
that time, I was one, yeah, along with him, and we both, and he believed in the team. That's why I keep saying that the sign of a good leader is also belief in the team. He said, Santosh, you can pull up. We said we will do it, but then I think that was 1.5 years back before we went live, when there was no. But my job was first let me convince the team why this is better. That's why I said the only reason why somebody should buy from A to B is service. Who gave me the best test drive experience? Who reached to me faster? So if I call three partners, who came to me? What is because I never owned a Mercedes-Benz in the past. First time I am buying. As a consumer, you don't know what model I am running. So I'll call up two, three partners, check all price. Who is giving me the better input? Which sales consultant is coming to me, giving better knowledge, better, and that will determine which partner should I buy and continue my future with. So the portability that we have given for consumers, and that puts a competition among our franchisee partners, because then they need to perform to keep the customer, and so the design of the model brings customer centricity.
Wow.
The design of the traditional model will never bring customer centricity, because it will be more transaction price, and the dealer will then try to make money out of the handling charges. He will have hidden
Service.
money because customer looks at discount. Okay, I'm getting 10 lakh discount, but actually if somebody is taking 1 lakh from you, 3 lakhs in insurance, they are trying to make money from X, Y,
Other
Z.
things,
So it is
yeah.
not the most congenial setup. But if you ask any partner of ours today, will they go back to the earlier model?
They won't.
I can confidently say here, not one will want to go back to the earlier model.
You've taken away the like the risk of financing it, no?
Exactly. Because they were all pledging their houses and properties to get loans, and the banks used to be laughing their way because of sales pressure, OEMs will push the stock to the dealer and then they want them to throw to the market. This is the kind of slangs used in the automotive industry. Maybe in FMCG, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. FICO.
Yeah.
So, usme the brand goes for a toss. Maybe good for premium and mass, but not appropriate for a brand, a luxury brand
Mercedes,
where consumers are getting. We had cases where two brothers in the family had got different prices in the past in the same family. They don't stay together, but they bought a car at some different points of time, and they got and they were not happy. It was not the amount. It may be a 1 lakh difference, but they said, why should I get 1 lakh less than my brother who got better? This is the issue with this haggling, discount management, and other topics.
So mal thok do is what.
So month end you send, and then dealer अपना रास्ता ढूंढेगा. Dealer कौन सा? What can he do except
he
discount?
can't. Dealer is not able to generate demand, right?
Exactly.
He's and then you will see bad behavior.
And at some point, then it leads to non-compliant behavior. Sometimes when you run incentives to declare retail, the dealer then says, okay, fine, this month you want me to declare 100, I will do. The cars are still standing. But the real world is something else. So all these practices, which is, and recognition of sale can only happen when you transfer the risk as per clear guideline. So today for us, a sale recognition will only happen when not we have invoiced, but even an insurance cover note and a customer has signed saying I'm taking delivery. So we are not doing anything, and that's all system driven again. So we have no cars which we have built, not delivered or not done and all that. So we have come out of and much cleaner business, but it's tough. You have to generate demand, as you rightly said. That's a big pressure. But I think the products are great. Our franchisee partners also do a great job in trying to do that. They've learned through the system. But yeah, there is frustration. Sometimes sales guys coming from other brands, they feel very tough to do here. Because there they have their discount lever, right? Here that's not the case. And quick sale is what a sales guy loves generally. So he says, okay, when I join Mercedes-Benz, it's a bit tougher because I have to sell the product and the brand and the experience and not just the discount.
You think it's powerful, right? Like if you tell a customer that I can't, like there's just no discount, it's a fixed price. It's a little disappointing, but I think over a period of time, I think it just creates high trust environment.
It happened. I had a lot of customer letters also saying, how can you say this? So we have retention and loyalty programs as well. So for our current customers, we give, but it's transparent. Again, if we are giving 50,000 rupees on a car, you get 50,000 for all existing customers of Mercedes-Benz. Or an interest rate waiver, if you are a current, you get it for everyone. So that gives them confidence. But at the time of sale, they still haggle. Because everybody wants to still find the best price and the best stuff, and then they try, and then the core pitch is X is offering Y, Z is offering X, and that's a difficult argument always. But I think if you believe in the product and the brand and the story, you can still, and there are customers understand it over a period of time.
That's incredible. Where do you see automotive and where do you see Mercedes-Benz over the next 5 years? Where do you think consumers are going to go? Like, you think it's going to be electric? You feel people are going to spend more on this? Are you positive about it? With this current war situation, you think it might be cyclical a little bit?
So if I look at the India story and merge it with what we are doing globally, we have 40 odd product fireworks coming up. The CLA is the first one and followed by other cars. Most of them are electric. 13 billion in invest. Last week I was in Stuttgart. The kind of cars that's coming is mind blowing from a product standpoint. Not because I work for the brand, but being in the automotive industry, you can feel what's coming up. But then this electrification is led by firstly the government agenda of decarbonizing it. So you can say that that took a bit of backseat. What's happening in the US, etc. Let's go for fossil fuel. And also electrified cars are a bit more expensive compared to combustion engines. So till the time there is no government incentive, thankfully in India we have a lower GST, so we are able to price electric cars compared to combustion engines. But I think the next generation electric cars which are now coming, which is the Gen 3, range is sorted, the performance is there. You don't miss the combustion engine as much because of the maybe a synthetic sound that you get in the car of a car. I just experienced some of that. It is unbelievable in terms of technology what they have done. So it ticks all the boxes why combustion engine customers were not shifting to EVs. I think the current situation, geopolitical situation may tend some customers to think even further because of the current crisis. Maybe EVs are better, but the other is the practical issues in India. Charging in residential apartments, getting the slot. We have tried to have our own charging ecosystem now, seamless charging. We have set up high performance chargers. So the good part of us is we will offer everything to customer. Let the market decide the pace of transformation, because if you push one technology, then you end up owning it a bit more than what it should be. So here, because we are not the lone stakeholders, there is government who has to decide the pace of decarbonization. For example, in India, some states offer zero road tax, some states
Mm.
offer 20%. So this can't be a policy framework where, so if the government decides by 2030 it should be all EV or
Mm.
maybe 50% EV, we are ready, we have the portfolio. If the consumer decides that yes, I am now the thing about EV is most of them say my next car will be an EV. Abhi to main le leta. So
Abhi mein it's
let me
evolving so quickly, no?
let it evolve. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guinea pig, maybe, or I don't want to take the leap of faith and try to get into a new technology or stuff. But it's changing. You can see a rapid acceleration. We used to do 1 to 2%. Now 7-8% of our sales are EV, and it's growing. I think the new portfolio coming, it will further grow significantly. So it's a matter of time. Technology is here to stay. The next gen cars will surprise the customer, and maybe that will bring more EV adopters to the segment than the previous generation cars.
Yeah. And do you see AI, for example, like we were talking about AI over lunch as well, internally within your org structures and also within the way you are innovating and the technology that goes into your cars, uh, self-driving and otherwise. Do you see that changing? Let's talk about this in two separate ways. Like for example, org, how is your org becoming more productive slash more innovative with use of AI? Like, are you seeing that happen?
So the car is a simpler answer, because we have this partnership with NVIDIA. We were one of the first to get the NVIDIA chipsets in the car. Most of the cars have supercomputers loaded now for not computing power required today, but for tomorrow. Already factoring AI, autonomous, ADAS, safety, many things, and the car becomes your virtual assistant, because today conversational AI and to have a chat with the car as a companion is the way to go. So that's all done, and you can already see it in current cars, and that will evolve.
Yeah.
It sets up routines, it changes lights, air conditioning based on your preferences, learning from you. Now, coming to org and the usage, I think there are different use cases on AI. The way we see is, one is on the development side, which is to do with, can we reduce time to market with designs, better prototyping, digital twins, and many things using AI simulating it. The second is on the production floor itself, using AI to automate much more and more, also find defects much earlier and make it more robust. And the third is in the sales and marketing area, right? Here, the low-hanging fruit is the marketing area. All those AI that you can get use cases, trying to make creatives by dovetailing A and B and C. I think that's one. But overall, I still feel the efficiency layer is still not touched. But what is happening now, if you ask our organization, we are moving away from dashboard culture. There was a time data was so big, everybody used to build dashboards after dashboards after dashboards. Now, it's a pity, because, dashboards are built by the intellect of that person who feels this is the data I
Yeah.
need to do my business.
Yeah.
Today, with AI, if the data is in the right setup, you can ask the right questions, and based on that, you can get much faster answers with an assistance from AI.
Yeah.
Sales forecasting, to looking at trends and patterns, and also for ordering and for production planning. I think that's a lot of work. We are already on that journey to get that mindset to use at each time. Why shouldn't I go back to an AI and also check? So if I made a strategy presentation, shouldn't I put it in the AI and check once, because it will only help me. That, I think, still is not across prevailing in the organization, or muscle memory, that let me use it as an assistant. And the fear factor is only job replacements, AI is coming up. So it's
Yeah.
more getting negative when you get into the HR side of things and the organizational deployment, to say, are they getting AI to replace me? The
Yeah.
answer is no. It is to improve your productivity. Maybe we can do even better. We can be
Yeah.
on a different growth curve with what we could have done with the usage of AI. So this is more of a cultural change and understanding and adopting than I think that saying, can we replace now 10 people with bots?
No, I agree. In fact, while Umesh and Rishikesh were showing us around the assembly line and the body shop, like my mind immediately went to making in India, right? Like
Yeah.
we should, and automotive is actually played a very leading role.
No
Not
doubt.
only Mercedes, like we've from the beginning, and Pune especially, right?
True. It's a hub.
It's a hub, and especially now where we are seeing a rupee that is vulnerable to dollar and
Yeah. Yep.
to global macro situations. Uh, Frankly, I feel like we are now with the government, entrepreneurs, companies like yours, which teaches, yourself, Apple, some of these folks who are like really putting in innovative manufacturing in India. I am of the opinion that entrepreneurs who are building earlier when I started, we were like, okay, India has a trading mindset where
Spot on.
we are shopkeepers, right?
Yeah,
We're like,
yeah.
we'll buy, we'll add some value, we'll
And
sell,
sell.
right? But can we make and sell? Because if we are able to bring dollars in the country, that will, in my view, be the biggest growth for GDP from 4 trillion to 10 trillion. Biggest. And you have to like teach us how to do that. Now you make amazing cars, we make razors and trimmers. Naya makes, air fryers, someone else is making something else. We all have to make stuff, but we have all, and I think China went through that 20 years back,
But
where
the
we have to
difference,
learn how to
Shantanu,
learn.
here is our education system to start with itself. Because, the core for making things and not just adding value is innovation. For a manufacturing, and I think there are two things happening. From the policy framework side, acting, it's ironic when the world is closing borders, we are opening. For a long enough, we said make in India so much for India. Now it's great we are saying make in India for the world,
Yeah.
but the world was always close to us because we were close to the world.
Yeah.
So now I think with a matured ecosystem, you look at the FTAs, the EU FTA or the UK FTA, that clearly now shows the confidence as India.
Yes.
That now let's open up, let them, everyone come in, we also participate in the
Yes.
economy. I think that's a great step. We can't undermine it's like the liberalization moment of 91. Unfortunately, it's plagued by the current geopolitical
Yeah.
setup, but if you see things in perspective, it is that next flip
Oh, you
now.
think so?
We can, yeah, for sure, because you are spot on to say, I keep saying, by making in India and selling in India, it's like a family having money and you are only changing the
Circulating
money
it,
within
yeah.
the family. But the moment you get the dollars in, the euros in from out, which needs capex investment, or we are able to sell goods and services and bring,
Yeah.
that's where the per capita GDP, the income level of India, and this is the secret sauce of China and others who just exported and they got a lot of wealth in the country. Situation has changed. We cannot replicate one model or other model. India has its own model which is working. But on that fundamental layer, it's also the innovation layer. Manufacturing ecosystem and something, you cannot be a rate arbitrage country always. Just a labor arbitrage, cheap labor, so I'll make something cheaper than B market just because as the economy grows, your labor arbitrage will go away.
Grow, yeah.
Because per capita is growing. So this can't be your key sauce.
It's
secret
already
sauce.
happening. It's
It's
already
already
happening.
happening on many sectors. The second source was that's why this back office topic of just trying to cater on a low cost market kind of a thinking can't work. The next was to say that what can we innovate now? What can we give to the world out of India
Yeah.
in terms of engineering services or in terms of all the innovation? And there, if you see the number of research papers that we publish, if you see the way the schooling education system, also lack of experience, there is no exposure to the corporate world for people when they are studying. All of this takes away the entrepreneurship in a way of innovating it. So
Yeah.
innovation is the core to build, and successful businesses are because you will only get the risk delta or the when you take that risk.
Yeah.
Otherwise you are a commodity, and then to get that you can sweat it out by scale. There are good examples in India. I think one of the biggest players of private companies in India are scale companies. They said, I may not innovate, but I may go on scale on any
Yeah.
topic, and that brings my price and the way I operate. But not possible for everyone, and that's I think. But this generation should change. I still feel I keep fascinated by your episodes and what you guys do. As such, I've been following it since last year. I think also you inspire a lot of generation in terms of what content and the discussions that you do. But I think we have to get on a much more faster cycle and
Yeah.
have that mindset. We make it for India and for the world.
Yeah.
The only for India should change it for India and the world. And if that mindset we go in, then we can actually, there is huge market with
Yeah.
money in the pocket outside.
Yeah.
Here we can make many things, but we still are a $3,000, close to
Yeah.
$3,000 per capita GDP. Whereas if you can participate in the 80% of the other economy, which has much bigger purchasing power, we can gain more.
That's like I saw the numbers the other day. The global GDP is $105 trillion. Global consumption GDP is $65 trillion. Indian consumption GDP is $2 trillion. So we're literally playing in 3% of consumption. So if you're going to make something and sell it, why will you play it? Why will you play in the 3% part? Right? Why?
And yeah, and then with this, if you try to scale in India, the margins become lower
Very low.
as well. And that's a big challenge for many multinationals. And they look into India, then it becomes a Ross dilutor kind of a market, saying
Yeah.
that, hey, then you get some scale, but then you don't make money. And also with that depreciating rupee, it becomes less motivation
Correct.
actually, even further. So, but the depreciating rupee can be a asset for the Indian entrepreneurship, innovation to participate in the world economy
Yeah.
differently.
And I think this is so important. I think when Shekhar also told me that Santosh keeps asking, और क्या कर रहे हैं, और नया क्या कर रहे हैं, और नया क्या कर रहे हैं. I think your D2C model also, or pushing the team to do more. People get a little afraid of the word innovation because they feel like they have to become Einstein to invent something completely new. But I think my view is, even if you are keep your ear close to the ground, understand the consumer pulse, and like do something small but very valuable over and over again. Over a period of, let's say, 15 such moments, you would have completely created something brand new. And I think that is so important in the world of innovation. Like, we have to think about, we get this base point, we innovate iteratively multiple times, and we'll suddenly be unrecognizable from where we started.
Yeah, and there's an inflection point in all of this,
Yes.
So you keep hitting. At some point, then you can pick up.
Correct.
So but that persistence is key, and believing that it will change also is key. Because sometimes that story people don't believe, and they are constrained by the size of the market or the potential, and say this is what the market is. And that's why when you had asked me, I said, yeah, if you look at competitive scenario, I will say not much, but the wealth is there, yes. Can people afford 50,000 rupees per month to pay for a Mercedes-Benz? Answer is definitely yes.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. You
Correct.
just need 10 lakh rupees in your pocket, and 50,000 rupees you can drive a Mercedes-Benz home, and I can change that car every 3-4 years with my agility program, which I'm running from financial services. So intent, I think the star is very desirable and loved. So that's not a problem. People want to do it. So the only factor which doesn't make people push is a bit on the cultural side and a bit of leap of faith to get into a Mercedes-Benz asset. So
Yeah.
if we are able to solve this, we don't need to be so obsessed with the market and the size of the market, competition scenario. We have to think of it, and India is huge, and there is enough aspiration and growth to participate.
It'll open up. So, Santosh, this has been an absolutely fascinating discussion. Thank you for your hospitality, your generosity, your just positive, like you call it restlessness, but for me, it is just positive, kind of wanting to do more and more. I can see it even in the few hours that you have spent together. And I hope that people who are watching actually take, for me, the D2C, selling a 1 crore car on D2C and completely changing the way dealership was done, which is so traditional. The fact that others have not yet done it in the sole innovators, and putting your neck on the line for that and making it successful through conviction and perseverance is my big takeaway. Before we let you go, one final piece of advice for anyone watching. For me, I feel like if this conversation between us inspires even one person watching to kind of go and follow their dreams or do something which they were planning to do. It doesn't have to be entrepreneurship, but let's say something, taking a risk, or you know uh, uh, changing a job, or doing something at their workplace, or standing up to someone. I think this time would have been well spent. So one piece of advice for anyone who wants to do something entrepreneurial.
I think I would more say be persistent. I think there is a tendency to give up, tendency to not be there. At some point, start giving up too early. This is a long race. If you believe in what you are doing and continue to believe and make others believe and again continue to believe, because the world will ensure that they will make you believe that you are not on the right path. So you need to be really conviction, and of course course correct based on what you are hearing. But the persistence, I feel many people lose. On the other side, when I look at my journey itself, taking a risk at 30 or 25, I think is not that big issue. I think you
Yeah.
are less liabilities, less stuff. But my respect goes to people who take risk at 50 or the 45.
Yeah.
Some are by compulsion, you can say, because of midlife crisis, some of them, but really take that risk, and they are
Yeah.
conscious of the risk. They had a career, and I think their big applause. to them to get that into a different trajectory. And but believe, and I think things happen. You need to be persistent.
Amazing. Santosh, thank you so much.